One does not simply walk into Mordor.
The land of shadow.
Hey, welcome everybody. In today's Shadowcast, I was planning to bring you guys a lore video about the Nazgul, when we ended up getting probably the biggest Middle-earth news we've had since Amazon's acquisition of the Lord of the Rings for their TV show. Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema have just made a major announcement that they are going to be making new Middle-earth films. If you're a Tolkien fan, you probably already heard most of the news on this already, but let's go ahead and take a look at it from the dark side of Middle-earth. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and jump into this breakdown of what this news means to the minions of Mordor.
For another ring was made. In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others. And into this ring, he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. One ring to rule them all.
Before we begin the full breakdown of this news, you might want to watch my detailed account of the history of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings film, TV, and games license to get a better understanding of what this news means. Go here to part 1 of my review of Season 1 of The Rings of Power for a detailed history of the Middle-earth license. Okay, so let's jump in because this is some exciting news. We've been sort of waiting to hear what Warner Brothers was going to do with their license, and finally they've revealed it. At the end of last week, Variety posted this wonderful news, and I quote, "On a Thursday earnings call, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav announced that newly installed studio leaders Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi have brokered a deal to make multiple films based on the beloved J.R.R. Tolkien books. The projects will be developed through Warner Brothers label New Line Cinema." Wow. Big news. Love this. Of course, we know New Line Cinema was behind the making of the first 3 films in the Lord of the Rings film franchise. Then, when Warner Brothers bought out New Line Cinema, they helmed the Hobbit trilogy of films. Those first 3 films made $3 billion, and the second films made $3 billion. So you can understand why they want to make these Middle-earth films. It appears that the Embracer Group, which last year purchased the movie, TV, gaming, and merchandising rights for The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings for a whopping $2 billion from Middle-earth Enterprises, has extended the rights through its subsidiary, Freemode, to Warner Brothers to make more Middle-earth films. This pact will be called Middle-earth Enterprises. Not sure exactly what all that means in terms of the naming of this pact, but I think they're going to continue to use the Middle-earth Enterprises name for any discussions around the making of Middle-earth films. Interestingly, DeLuca and Abdi left MGM last year to helm Warner Brothers, following the acquisition of MGM by Amazon. Interesting, really interesting. MGM holds the worldwide film distribution rights to The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, which means Amazon now holds those rights. So, this is how it all shakes out. The world of Middle-earth in film and TV is now in the hands of these media companies. I think we're going to see a media strategy similar to that of Star Wars, with streaming TV on Amazon Prime and films created by Warner Brothers New Line Cinema. I think this competition for eyeballs will drive both companies to make better content in Middle-earth. At this point in time, there are no filmmakers that have been attached to any movie projects. But in a statement to Variety, Peter Jackson and collaborators Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens said Warner Brothers and the Embracer Group, quote, have kept us in the loop every step of the way. We look forward to speaking with them further to hear their vision for the franchise moving forward. This is really good news. I can see the three of them being producers for ongoing projects about Middle-earth, filming in New Zealand with Weta doing the visual and practical effects, bringing on new directors to direct these films. I think it's going to be a perfect way to approach this if they're involved. Then we have this from the Embracer Group. Following our recent acquisition of Middle-earth Enterprises, we're thrilled to embark on this new collaborative journey with New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers Pictures, bringing the incomparable world of J.R.R. Tolkien back to the big screen in new and exciting ways. We understand how cherished these works are, and working together with our partners at New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers Pictures, we plan to honor the past, look to the future, and adhere to the strongest level of quality and production values. This is from Lee Quinchard, the CEO of Freemode, which is a subsidiary of the Embracer Group. Now, these are all good words. Let's hope they really stick to them. I believe all this is happening now because it has been proven for the first time by Amazon that there is an appetite and an audience for stories of Middle-earth that go beyond The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. This has been an unanswered question that has worried media companies for many years. Whether you like the show or not, The Rings of Power has proven this point beyond a shadow of a doubt. De Luca and Abdi have said in a statement to Variety that, and I quote, "The complex and dazzling universe dreamed up by J.R.R. Tolkien remains largely unexplored." It is important to note that all Middle-earth content beyond The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and its appendices is not part of this licensing. The creation story of Arda, the Age of the Trees, and the First Age of Middle-earth are all off-limits for now. The Tolkien estate, which does own a 7.5% stake in all Middle-earth films created from The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, has never licensed any of the content in the Silmarillion, the Unfinished Tales, or any other published work of Tolkien. But in time, this may also change. Okay, so what does all this mean? What can fans expect in the short term? I imagine that for now, Amazon and Warner Brothers will divide up Middle-earth by age. Amazon will tell the stories of the Second Age, and Warner Brothers will likely focus on the Third Age. There is so much that happens in the Third Age that Warner Brothers will have plenty of stories to tell. In Gondor, we have the War of the Wainriders, the attack by sea of Umbar, the invasion of Gondor from Far Harad, Mordor's attacks on Minas Ithil and Osgiliath, not to mention the deadly plague that depopulated much of Middle-earth. We already have the story of Helm Hammerhand coming next year as an animated feature in The War of the Rohirrim. There is also the story of Errol the Young and the Battle of the Field of Celebrant. We also have the stories of the three houses of the Edain, who later become the Dunedain. There's also, of course, the fall of Moria to the Balrog, the war of the orcs and the dwarves, of which we have only seen a peek in the Hobbit films, and also the plague of dragons on the wealth of the dwarven kingdoms, all of them making good stories. However, to me, the greatest untold story of the Third Age is, of course, the fall of the North Kingdom of Arnor. You could make a plethora of films on this storyline alone, which covers over 600 years, I believe. Imagine the coming of the Witch King, the fall of Amun-Sul, the rise of Rhudaur, the great battle of Fornost, and these are just a few of the possible ideas. And of course, all of those stories would probably include hobbits in those films. There is also so much to tell about Mordor, Dol Guldur, Angmar, Gundabad, the Barrow Downs, the Old Forest, and the Black Pit of Moria. There is just a wealth of possibilities here that are limitless and exciting. There is trepidation, of course, that Middle-earth will be turned into a theme park of action-adventure films. But the good news is that the origin of all of these are the published works of Professor Tolkien, which we can return to whenever we wish. I, for one, am excited by the possible directors who might try their hand at building upon a Tolkien vision. New and young directors to try their hand at a Middle-earth film. Of course, the thing I'm looking forward to most is that wonderful moment of anticipation when the lights go down, the music begins, and through the magic of cinema, we get to return to the world of Middle-earth on the big screen.
The world is changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost, for none now live who remember it.
Okay, everybody, that should go ahead and wrap up today's video. We have definitely some exciting news in the world of Middle-earth, but I do promise that in our next Shadowcast, I'm going to be bringing you that lore video about the history of the Nazgul. So, until next time, I hope to see you upon horseback, your black cloak fluttering in the bitter winds of the north, as you hunt through the land of the halflings for the One Ring